Yo, 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 what is up, you guys? It is your boy, HamzaConnection, coming at you live. Well, first thing first, before I tell you any more in this podcast, damn, I spent so much time setting up the mic, and somebody, I think, or probably I messed it up myself, but I couldn't set up the mic in the studio. I had no idea. There was no sound and all of this stuff, and now it's getting kind of late, and I think I used like half an hour or something on setting up the mic when I just wanted to shoot this podcast episode. But finally, I made it, and I am still super, super excited to be able to be in this studio. Oh my God, I love it. Love it. But basically, it comes with its trouble. But that's all right. That's all right. Well, basically, what I want to tell you guys in this episode, and what I want to talk to you about, is putting first things first. Basically, the notion that some tasks are more important to complete than other tasks. And if you are familiar with the Pareto principle, my friend, then that will be really, really good for you, because that's like the majority of the content for this podcast episode. And I also want to give you guys some real examples of my own life and how I use this in my own life to prioritize what I need to get done best. Anyway, stay tuned for that. So basically, first, I want to explain to you what is Pareto principle. Well, it's this guy that invented this principle that says 20%, no, 80% of your results comes from 20% of your effort. And 80% of your effort gives you only the 20% of your result. So basically, he basically saw this thing and this pattern, and he tried to apply it in so many different areas and saw that this principle really holds true. And if you don't believe me, I would dare you to, like, for instance, I don't know, like, look at companies. And if you don't believe me, like, it's not me who invented the principle, basically, but you can look at companies. Like, sometimes, like, let's say they're selling hundreds of products. Well, it's probably only 20 of them that makes up the 80% of the revenue from all of the, like, rarely do you see that it's like evenly spread out. So you always have some winners. And this is what I noticed in my own life as well. Like, whether it's school, whether it's business, whether it's work and all of that stuff, there are just 20% that gives you the 80% of your results. So basically, I realized, like, and this is an example from my own life, with the English exam. I was trying to focus on learning some really good hardcore grammar and stuff like that in English, but that wasn't what I needed, because my teacher told me, he was like, yo, I know you're trying to fix this, but 80% of your, he didn't say 80%, but I'm paraphrasing, the majority of your mistakes comes from you not knowing this type of grammar. And then I was like, oh, cool. Okay, cool. Let me practice that type of grammar, because I used so many times on practicing all the other stuff that I was fairly decent at, but I didn't practice that thing that I really, really sucked at. So I started practicing that, and my grades went up. So now I started to get like A's in English when I was writing, and B's sometime, when before I was getting like D's and C's. Now I'm translating. Obviously, I'm from Denmark, so we don't use the A, B, C, D and stuff like that. We use the numbers, but regardless, I'm just translating the grades for those of you who know me, that knows that I'm from Denmark. But basically, the shit here is that if I had focused on the other things, I wouldn't have achieved that grade. It was because there was this little thing I needed to get better, and that gave me 80% of my results. And that is so true in not only like in schools, but also in work. Like, when I'm delivering work for a client, it's like when I'm testing stuff, when I'm doing that, it's like, take the highest critical areas of the business, test those things, and once you tested those things, yes, you can test all the other things as well, but usually the most bugs are found in and this is like in programming, stuff like that, are found in some modules. So when we're changing some things and all of this stuff, it's usually like the most important thing that we need to test is the business critical areas. Like, can you check out on a checkout flow and stuff like that? And the thing, because that gives you the most value. Because, okay, if people can't order from your site, obviously you're losing money. But let's say, oh, the banner doesn't look that well. Well, that's not going to lose you as much money as people not being able to purchase anything. So what's the most important thing here is to test first? Well, that's the business critical area. And again, this is the Pareto principle. So one of the things I realized in my life, if you want to reach certain goals and you have so many goals and have mad aspirations that you want to do a lot of shit, the thing here is, and the key, and I've been trying it and going through it in my own life, I once thought that you can do everything at all, everything in one time. Like you can do everything simultaneously. And I hate to say it because I hate putting limitations, but I'm starting to think that you can do anything that you set your mind to, but you can't do everything that you set your mind to. So basically you have to pick and choose. So you can do anything like you set your mind to. I believe that. I believe that you can do anything you set your mind to, but I don't believe that you can do everything you set your mind to, because you just have this limited time frame when you're a human being, that it would be very, very hard to achieve every single thing that you want. But you can achieve anything that you want when you dedicate your time towards it. And this is the most important thing. When you try and hustle your way and work on your health or work in whatever you're working on, then you have to realize, what are the 20% that gives me the 80% of my result? And I got a really good example for you personally from my own life as well, is fitness. Like I wanted to become healthy and all of that stuff and work out more and stuff like that. So what are the most important things when you're working out? Well, is it that you're learning this crazy new ass technique with, oh, I'm gonna do like straps on my biceps and all of that stuff? Like those little things are the 80% that gives you the 20% of your results. But what gives you the majority of your result is the fundamental shit. And I hate to say it, it is the fundamental shit. Like the most important thing when you go and work out, it's probably consistency. Are you consistent with your workout? And already right there are so many guys that are not consistent with their workout. And instead they try and focus on maximizing the time when they take their protein and all of that stuff. And I'm not saying that that shit doesn't help and all of that stuff. It probably does, but it's very, 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 very minuscule. So what I'm saying here is, and what I'm advocating is that you focus 80% of your time on the 20% of the results, because, or maybe even 100% of your time on the 20% that's going to give you 80% of the results. That was a lot of numbers right there. But basically what I'm trying to say is focus on the foundation, because the foundation often gives you the most results. And then you can focus on the advanced shit later on when you squeezed all the juice from the foundation. And that's my point. And that's what I started to realize. I was always like trying to learn advanced stuff. And I realized that no, sometimes you have to learn the foundation. And especially if it's something that you don't want to really, really excel at and become an expert at, then just learn the foundation, because that's going to give you the most of the result. So if you're working out consistently, if your diet is in check, and if you're sleeping well, it's like those three things are the most important things in fitness. And then we come to the like small little nuances, like when I'm talking about dieting. Basically, like if you want to lose weight, the 20% that's going to give you 80% of the results is, do you eat more? Do you burn more calories than you consume? Like that's the thing. That is the most foundational in nutrition. Like basically that's the first thing you look at. And then you look at the other things. But basically, if you want to lose weight, you have to consume less calories. You have to consume less calories. You have to burn more calories than you consume. And that's the thing. So all of these, this is a principle. And all of the things, like whether you're doing keto or intermittent fasting, which I'm a big fan of, and all of the other like warrior diet, Atkins diet, and all that stuff, really, that doesn't matter crazy much, so long as you follow the underlying principle. Now, those things are tools that can help you follow the underlying principle, but it really, at the start, it doesn't really matter which kind of diet you do. It doesn't. And that's the thing. But instead, we try to focus on the on the 80% that's only going to give us 20% of the result, because you can go out there and learn every single diet and that would be like 80% of the thing, and it will only give you 20% of the result. Instead, if you focus your time on learning that foundational principle, you are already 80% there. And then you probably learn about the right macronutrients for your, like whether how much protein and fat and carbs. This is turning into a fitness episode, but basically I hope you sort of follow me here, that there are some tools or some knowledge, some foundations that just gives you so much more results than the other last 20%. And that is what I want to leave you with here, is that it's the same thing when you're doing your goals. There are some tasks that are more important than others. Localize those tasks, find out what they are, and then execute on those first. And then you can do all the extra stuff. That's the thing. And have a system in place. Like personally, what I do, I use Trello and I set goals every day. And I mark the most important goals as my A goals. So for instance, today, I want to shoot 2 podcast episodes, and I know it's hell of important. It's more important than some of my other stuff. Like the most important stuff that I did today was probably I went to Pilates and I went to mobility. I went to work out and stuff like that. That was the most important thing. And I also have this goal of mine since it's winter, that whenever the sun is shining, I can take my time. I can take some time off and I can actually go and take a trip and all of that stuff. So I did that. Well, after that, what was the most important goal of mine? Well, I could try and optimize my listings and stuff like that, but my most important goal was actually to do the podcast episode. So I decided to do the podcast episode, and probably by the time I'm finished with this podcast episode and I record the next one, I won't have time to optimize my listings and all of the stuff to create more sales, because I prioritize the other things, because then my priority is to get enough sleep. So sometimes you won't reach everything, but make sure you reach the most important stuff. And that was it. Hope you guys like this episode. It is your boy, HamzaConnection. Over and out. Peace.